A continuación, le vamos a dar la bienvenida a Nancy Reeves and Xochitl Mendoza. Nancy Reeves de Pearson holds a Bachelor of Arts in Literature and Philosophy, a Master of Arts in Spanish from Penn State University, and a Master of Arts in English from the University of Louisiana at Monroe, as well as a postdoctoral studies in research from the University of Leicester, and in curriculum from Pan American University. She has taught in different academic settings from elementary to university level in different countries. She has also given lectures in several countries. She has worked in curriculum design in several institutions. She joined in Pearson family as product specialist for Central America in 2017 and works as academic coach for Mexico and Central America. On the other hand, we have Xochitl Mendoza, educational coach for Pearson Central America and the Caribbean. She holds the bachelor's degree in English and translation and has a virtual master trainer certificate issued by Pearson. So she has worked for Pearson for 3 years and has been part of the private and public projects that involve professional development, educational methodologies and strategies, and the implementation of new programs and platforms. Thank you both for being here with us, and let's welcome them together to do this for us. Thank you very much.
No, thank you for the invitation. We have learned a lot. It's been quite interesting. So today is our pleasure to be working with you guys in academic training about lesson planning for the 21st century. Xochitl, you want to give us a little bit of our feedback right now?
I'm sorry. Hey everybody, how are you? It's a pleasure to see you again. And for the ones who were not in my first intervention, welcome to our plenary. Just a brief message before we start. This presentation is protected by copyright and it cannot be reproduced in any way or form without previous written consent by Pearson. And so let's start talking about planning for the 21st century. Now, Nancy and I are going to present this training. If you need anything from us, at the end, we're going to provide you with our contact. So just reach us and we can help you out with your institution. Today, we're going to have this as objectives. We're going to better understand productive and receptive skills. And we're going to plan or we're going to check out how to plan effective lessons based on learning objectives and, of course, resources that we provide so we can have support for teachers and students. Nancy?
Yes, our agenda today is going to have 3 main points. Student-centered classroom, since we all know it's quite important, and so actually we've heard from our colleagues, everything is revolving around the students. We're also going to be talking about lesson planning for a receptive and productive skills. How do we manage that? What is a receptive and productive skill? And also, how do we create this focusing on objectives? So we're going to talk a little bit about the GSC booklet and use it in order to describe the pathway into working with objectives and clear goals for our students. So let's start with this session.
Okay, let's talk about student-centered classroom. And we all work with our students on a day-to-day basis to reach goals, right? So student-centered classroom, Doyle mentions that it's an environment that allows learners to take some real control over their educational experiences and encourages them to make important choices about what and how they will learn. Now let's talk about, or let's consider what is important for our students. We need to have our students as a main focus or a core, right? There are many things as teachers that we always take in consideration, but let's think about our students, right? Let's think about the best way they learn, right? The best way we get them engaged and motivated to work. All the goals they have. Our students might be studying the language to get a better job for professional purposes. They might want to go abroad and work or study. And they might also want this process to be done because they want to connect with people. And we talked about it with connectivity. Our students want to connect with people, and in the language, English language teaching is a social construct. So if they're unable to communicate with their peers, they won't be able to really reach their goal of meeting new people, having a friendship with somebody at work if they don't have the ability to communicate effectively and properly. And also, let's consider our students' background when it comes to a student-centered classroom. Let's always think about what the student might be going through in a day-to-day basis at home, in their communities, in their family environment. And let's think about how they would share and try to comprehend other peers they have. Now, let's talk about a little bit about essential elements in the student-centered classroom, okay? And I'm going to give you some examples from some of the series that we previously presented, and how this is going to help you out to have a student-centered classroom environment. Let's always think about these essential elements. First, complex and interesting tasks. We need to provide the opportunity to students to challenge themselves. We need to make our students accountable for their own learning. We all have goals and objectives, and we have to provide the opportunities for them to really have all this information that we always provide sink in, and of course, use it in an efficient and properly way. Also, something very important is to identify specific resources for specific activities. We need to find a way to provide this blended, hybrid environments where we provide our students with all the resources they need. Not only audios, videos, images, maybe writing skills boosters or pronunciation videos, which I'm going to show you in a minute, but also formative assessments and resources that they can use on their own, so they can build up on their own learning. We try to always provide them with what they need, but if they have them at hand very quickly without having to ask the teacher where to find it, it's going to be better. It is also something very important to open a safe space where they can discuss with their peers, where they can have collaboration, where they can share their ideas and think critically. There is something so important, and now that we have or we've been through a pandemic, we are facing students that are just at home, working on their own, on their computers, tablets, mobile phones, and they're not interacting as they used to with their peers. And so we have to provide a safe space where they use what we have taught them. They reinforce the language acquisition to control practice, and then we allow them to blossom on their own. It is important to help them out with effective feedback, and there are many strategies and opportunities to provide this feedback for them to then reflect on their own learning, and even take action plans to improve these areas of opportunities that the teacher might tell them through their feedback. Now let's see some examples in the previous series I presented. We're going to be looking at connectivity, and we're going to be looking at Disney. It's a primary series. I know that you work with adults, but I am going to show you this because I think that's important that we see every stage, because everything works together. If I build up a good foundation of language acquisition for us teachers, for adults, professional learners, and academic learners, we're going to have a better understanding and a better foundation to work with. So this is an example from Connectivity. It's the series I presented earlier. And this is Unit 1, and it's getting to know you, right? And as you can see here, we have images that connect to the student, images that relate to the topic we're working with. We're going to have a character which is going to tell them, I want to meet people from a lot of countries. I need English for that. So we are motivated the students to connect with this character and to say, of course, this is my situation as well. I want to meet new people, so I need the language to communicate with other people around the world. So we're going to warm up the activity. We're going to engage the students. We're going to activate prior knowledge, and we're going to make our students connect with the content in the book. And of course, the next image, we are going to allow our students to work with this new vocabulary, listen to some audios. I like this series a lot because it provides the opportunity for the students to work on their pronunciation, regardless of their accent. It is very important for them to understand that pronunciation is key, but the accent they have, it's normal, and they're going to face many people from around the world that are not native English speakers that have accents, but their intelligibility is the one that matters. So the pronunciation coach that we provide in our resources are going to help our students understand this and improve their pronunciation regardless of their accent. Now,
so, I'm sorry, and if you
ahead.
let me speak, and this is quite important because we do want to foster this relationship among our students. We want them to be the center, and we want to be just mere coaches as teachers.
Yes.
Right now, that's a focus on education, to create that environment where the teacher, again, is just the mentor, just the guide, and the students are more proactive within the learning process. That is why a lot of the information that we've been hearing is about that self-awareness within the learning process of our students.
Thank you, Nan. As I was mentioning, it's so nice to have all these resources to help them out, then produce the language, practice with their peers. We're going to continue being educators, because now we talk about mentors, we talk about guides, but we're still educators. We're still the ones who orchestrate every learning environment and the path. But we take these responsibility of learning to our students, and they are going to become accountable for their own learning. We're going to give them because we are going to help them out understand that their responsibility to reach their goals, whichever they are, is theirs. So as you can see at the end, there's always opportunity for collaboration, group work, pairs, and there's also opportunity for individual work. So we're gradually releasing the responsibility. Now I'm showing you the student area from the platform. And as you can see, and as I mentioned, we're going to provide the resources for them to work on their own individually. They can ask the teacher the proper resource they need to be able to practice and reinforce their learning. Online, we're going to provide all these resources. And the best part is that they can be assessed formatively and summatively. As you can see, we have online practice, audios, videos, and assignments that the teacher will be able to check or see the reports to make action plans or remedial plans to work towards goal achievement. Because remember, the basis or foundations of all of our series and products and everything assessment we provide is based on the Global Scale of English and Common European Framework of Reference Learning Objectives. So the teacher will be able to see the student progress, and that helps them out a lot. Okay, so let's move on to the next slide. Nancy.
That's a situation that happens all the time. You put yourself on mute. I even have a t-shirt that says, you're on mute. So, so everything that we've been learning and that we've been understanding about English as a second language or English, teaching, English acquisition process, it is coming from two different components, which is receptive and productive skills. And I do not know if you want to write in the chat. We have some attendees here. I don't know if you want to tell me what is it that you understand as receptive. Ludmila wants to share what she thinks is receptive and productive.
Really?
Yes, tell me.
Okay. Receptive, the person that receives the message. Well, those are skills, right? So the skill to encode maybe the message, and productive to produce the message, maybe. And what's the difference between them? Well, I guess the process, how you.
Yeah, what am I doing here? You can just give the presentation for me. So what we have in here is that, like you said, one of them is going to be receiving the information and the other one is going to be producing the information. So those are two main components whenever we're learning a language. Can we go to the next slide? So you're going to see that productive is always going to be the producing section. So every time that you speak, you're producing. Every time that you're writing, you're producing. And how do we do this? Because we're receiving information. So we're listening to the information of somebody speaking. We're reading a document, like we mentioned about dictionaries, which I'm like a huge fan of dictionaries. I think they're the basis of research. So you have to be working with it. So you're going to constantly, thank you, Eliberto. Yes, it has to do with listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Perfect. Thank you for your input. So we're going to be constantly working on this, and they're not separated. They're integrated. But whenever we're teaching, we can actually focus on one, but consequently, because we're working with the learning acquisition process, we can focus on one. Every time with one specific candidate statement for one of those four skills, and then you consequently will be developing the other ones, but your priority will be that one. You don't need to say, oh my God, I need to do all of them. No, you will consequently do them, and you will create activities to do this. But you're going to realize that whenever you have a student-centered environment, the students will constantly be developing those skills. They're going to be receiving the skill that we want, and also they're going to be able to write, and those writing activities could be letters, it could be can share, and will allow the student to be more comfortable with the language and reach the level of fluency that we desperately seek our students to have. So how do we plan? How do we work with this? Now that we understand what the receiving and the receptive and the productive skills, something that we always need to consider whenever we're working with this and whenever we're planning is that each skill, regardless of the one that you're going to be focused, will be linked to another one. Okay, so you have to connect, you need to make those connections, and that will help you. So every single, like I said, there will be, there will be a link. Then you have to create activities where one skill will reinforce the other. So like I previously mentioned, you will focus on one, but consequently, the other ones will be there. They will be linked to it. So you're not going to separate them or leave it behind. It's like, oh, how I'm not working with reading. You're constantly working with the 4 skills, but I will decide to just master one at that moment. Target the skills with the focus of your lessons. Always think about skills. Always think about the objective, and consequently, you will make use of the other skills to reach that objective. But whenever you're working with a lesson, you have to consider those can-do statements. You have to consider that objective. You have to consider that point which you want to reach, where you want your students to go. And in this case, because we're talking about adult students, you're going to see that within a semester or within a specific course, you have specific objectives for them to consequently create competencies within the language, but they're going to be immediate objectives, okay? And teachers do need to consider those different learning styles. So as mentioned before by Xochitl, we have different learning styles. And whenever we're working in a student-centered environment, we need to consider that. So we need to create presentations where you have a visual component, where we're speaking, where the students are able to move around, because we have different types of students. Like I am extremely kinesthetic, as you can see, so I'm moving, and Xochitl too, but I'm also extremely visual. So maybe noises are annoying us because we cannot focus, but we need to see the pictures and we need to be moving whenever we speak, because everybody's different, okay? And also use technology. As you can see, everybody right now is focusing on the use of technology, how the power of technology nowadays is just outstanding. So this one will allow you to provide authentic tasks with your students. You don't need to rely on traditional newspapers because we don't have them anymore, but you do have electronic newspapers. You have New York Times, which is online. I read my newspapers all digitally, so you can do that. And the information is immediately updated. So you can create that and you can make use of those components or those resources to provide that environment where the students are constantly developing their productive and their receptive skills. So, Xochitl, how do we work with our lesson planning since we're talking about objectives?
Hey guys, now we're going to have the effective lesson planning, and I would like to go online and show you something, but let's talk about here productive skills procedures. You're going to find, and I'm going to share with you a link that's going to take you to our ESAP methodology, planning methodology, and that's going to help you out work on a distance learning environment, where you interact with your students, you provide feedback, you use all the elements that we have as resource. And we really want to introduce this ESAP methodology because it will help you out in and out of the classroom. Even though it's an online teaching methodology or lesson planning, we're going to help you out also with your plans in the classroom. I
just wanted to go back and I just wanted to highlight, yep. Notice that it says task-based. So task, objective, competency, that is what we're aiming for. So as educators, we always have to have a clear idea, or as students, we have to have a clear idea of our pathway, where we want to go, how we're going to achieve it. And then this is where the role of the teacher is more of a model, like, a mentor, I'm sorry, where you're going to be showing the students and, allowing them to have an idea of what's going on or what is expected of them. And then of course, they're going to change it and they're going to do it a little bit different. And all those elements that you see here, they're going to constantly be producing. They have to manage the task. They have to understand the purpose of the task, because if they don't understand, they won't do it. Now, this is whenever they're producing. Now, what happens whenever they're receiving, whenever they're within the receptive skills, we're going to be working with the WH, okay? So we're going to be working with the how, the who, the when, the what, the where. So we're constantly going to be there because all the receptive information is like, oh, how do I do this? When do I go? So every information, oh, who wrote this? So you're going to see that that is a constant within receptive activities. So the building block of this too will then lead you to a more concrete view of how to create successful activities or how to play with the activities proposed to you in order to create a more oriented and a more student-oriented classroom and a more successful environment for the students to blossom.
All right, so now that you have said that, before I finish with the presentation, I want to show everybody the ESAP methodology. And this is going to help out in and out of the classroom, even though it's for distance teaching. Pearson has created the Engage, Study, Activate, and Practice, the teaching planner. So you can see which stage you're going to be working face-to-face and online. And you can see the differences between one and the other. And you can clearly practice or work with this lesson planner. And you are going to be able to specifically and strategically work with the time you have available. We're always running and we're always on the go, and we have little time to perform and to make our students be or our students interact, think critically, share their ideas, listen to other people's ideas, and of course, everything that has to do with future skills, soft skills that we are embedding in our instruction as English language teachers. I'm going to share in the chat with everybody website. This is going to be a very helpful website because you're not only going to have the PDF I showed, but you're going to have our all the trainings for the ESAP framework and the planning. And this is going to be very nice for you to work with. And if you and here and check them out. So before I continue with sharing my different resources for connectivity, let's talk about now when it's time to plan, keep in mind, let's think about first our learning objective. It is, we're so driven by data. We're driven, every decision we make nowadays has to be taken, data has to be taken in consideration. It is important for you to know that you have an aid toolkit that provides specific learning objectives by level for different types of learners. So as I mentioned before, the Global Scale of English comes from the Common European Framework. We have expanded these learning objectives and we help out the educational community. Number one, to create curriculum. Many institutions around the world use the GSE Teacher Toolkit to know exactly what they have to develop in each of the levels in their institutions. For each one of the series we have, we map them and we provide the learning objectives specifically linked to all the images, to all the scaffolded instruction towards those learning objectives, and finally reaching those competencies we want to reach to. So I'm going to show you the GSE Teacher Toolkit. This GSE Teacher Toolkit is amazing because you're going to have in just one place for free, regardless of the program or series you're using. It's going to provide you with a tool, number one, to see the level you're working with, to choose the learner you're working with. So whether it is a young learner from 6 to 14 years old, professional learners, adult learners, academic learners, the student you're working with, you are going to choose a skill. So besides the skills, we're going to choose the skills. And besides the skills, we have the grammar per level, the vocabulary, and a text analyzer. So once you choose a level, you might choose A1 or pre-A1. And as we have the global scale of 10 to 90, you're going to have a specific areas. So what the global scale of English does, it's a granular global standard. It gives you granularity. So my student might be at the beginning of a level or at the end of a level, and we don't know specifically what learning objectives we should develop in order for them to go to the next one. What do we do with the GSE Teacher Toolkit? We allow institutions to move forward and always look for these learning objectives that are the basis and foundations of our programs. Now, I showed you the GSE Teacher Toolkit. I'm going to share, I already shared the link to the GSE Teacher Toolkit. And just to finish with our session, just to let you know, every area, the resources, the opportunities to work with our students, the learning objectives, all this foundation to be successful and to lead our students to their goals, we provide, and we can help out regardless of the program you're working with. So in encompassing—
No, guess what? We have some extra time that they've been sharing with us. So we can continue talking all we want, which we always love to talk.
Thank you, guys. Okay, let's continue. Well, now that I showed you the GSE Teacher Toolkit, I thank you, Nan. I need to share with you that the global scale of English is so granular that if your student is almost finishing or starting a level, you will know specifically what learning objectives you should develop for him or her to move forward. So these is used for curriculum creation and, of course, competences. And you're going to see that you have a scaffolded way to take your students to the next level. It is so visible that and noticeable that when we have English language move at a fast pace in different levels, right? We have this scale here, and sometimes they move so fast in some levels, but then they slow down and they take longer. And we have assessment that can place students in a level, and then an assessment that can tell us their progress. With the global scale of English, we'll know exactly where they are. We can check out in the have to of English and can move them forward. I wanted to show you this. It is so nice that it allows the teacher to see their notes while they're presenting. They can show the students in and out of the classroom with a projector, or maybe sharing their screen, what page you're working with, and then they can take off that area and then take them little by little through the class flow. This is a warm-up exercise where we motivate our students to get engaged. This is the first they are going to find in the book, and we're going to keep them engaged through their sharing their own experience and their own motivations to speak the language. Now I moved on to the next topic warm-up that will start lesson 1. And this will help them out a lot, keep track of what they're doing. Before we move on to our presentation, I just wanted to show you that we provide everything necessary, and the GSE Teacher Toolkit and the ESAP methodology will help you out even though you're working with other material. You can help yourself out by using the ESAP methodology towards creating a very fulfilling classroom and environment, trying to always engage and activate releasing that responsibility from the teacher to the student. Okay, guys, so let's move on. We already
If I want to, I can inject some of my knowledge in here.
Go ahead.
We're going to see that right now we have an idea. Okay, so you need your resource. It's important to have your resource. It's important to have your objective, but how do we match it up all within the language acquisition process? Remember, we'll constantly be working with productive and receptive skills. We're going to be making sure that the student, I'm sorry if you hear my dogs, just Ludmila and I have the same problem. So you're going to see that the students will be engaged throughout the entire time. You're going to see that they will be learning and they'll be working with all of it. But again, you need to have very clear objectives as to how to reach like all of this. So you're going to have to make sure that you have a plan of action. And how do we do this? How do we achieve this? It will always be based on 3 components, okay? 3 and 4. As a teacher, whenever we're planning, it's going to be always based on the 4 T's. Okay, you establish a theme, okay, you establish tasks, you establish the text, and you establish topics. So you're going to see that the content will always be there. So you have to use your content, and then your resources are things that you can play with. I think we have a mic on. And you're going to be constantly working. You're going to make sure that that's happening with your students. And that will be the way that you will be planning a general unit, not necessarily following any type of methodology, just how to work with the general unit within different resources. And then one of the things that we need to concern ourselves with, the basics of a common standard. You have to you understand the competency. You need to understand what is it that you want the students to learn, which it will be the content, and how would you learn it. So you can play with the resources. You can see what other resources for kids you're going to use. What within this ones we have to, well, we can say Disney because I love Disney. You're going to be able to work with this, and you're going to create a better strategy and a more comfortable strategy for you as a teacher, because you're going to have a clear idea of what is it that you want the students to know. And consequently, you're going to, if you're a teacher, you're going to keep your fathers happy and your mothers happy, because you're going to be able to tell them there's a plan of action to not, well, we can never guarantee anything 100%, but you can give them a solid, that confidence is to share them there's a solid foundation into the work that you're doing with their kids.
So I think that's it. I hope you like the resources we shared.
Do you have any questions? We love questions. So yeah, please ask us away, because we're here for you. Ask away. Let's see. I know Eliberto had a comment before, so if you want to share something with us, you can. If not,
we thank you.
My amazing friend from Venezuela, whom I'm going to go visit.
Yeah. You can go wherever you want.
Yes, Arturo, I'm gonna go see you. You know, I'm gonna go get some arepas, right?
Perfect, great.
So tell me, do you have any questions for us?
Yeah, well, myself, I was wondering about, so they're available for anyone that wants to like take advantage of them and use them?
Are you sure?
Yes.
Xochitl will go crazy with that answer. So Xochitl, just share your knowledge, because I know Ludmila wants to hear everything about the teacher's toolkit.
Yeah. The teacher toolkit is available for everybody. It's online. It's an open resource. As you can see, it's paired up to the Common European Framework. We in the EOT community, we all based all our content in the Common European Framework. And it is so important for us to know where our students are and then where we want to take them. So the GSE teacher toolkit, it's going to help a lot of institutions and teachers. to know this. So if I have an assessment and my students are in pre-A1 and I don't really know what to work with them in the classroom and how to do it, all these resources provided from all of the companies can be used with the teacher toolkit, and then we can have a very good foundation of learning objectives that can let us know as teachers where our students are and where we want to take them. And this is available for everybody, and it is based from the Common European Framework, and we have expanded them to professional learners. Sometimes there is a level for our learners, and we know and we have experienced having a lot of professional learners and academic learners being very, very demanding with their English language classes. So having these objectives will help you out, make them understand that they are at a level and they have to hit very important objectives so they can move forward. And so the GSE Teacher Toolkit is open for everybody to work with. And I see Eliberto has something here in the chat.
Would like to know if you have any material I can use in my online classes. How can I get them or buy them? Well, I guess this is a combination of answers. We can give you an answer and Arturo can give you another answer, or Ludmila. You can find a number of resources from the Pearson company. I can speak for ourselves. We have a lot of resources that can help you with your online classes. Right now, I think it's a constant for a lot of companies to provide resources for teachers that can allow them to give them a class, like provide them with resources to have a face-to-face classroom, but also for an online teaching environment, which has become quite popular. Thank you. It's quite popular. So one of the resources that I can mention to you is that you can download the resources. So I'm a person that always believes in plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D, plan F. So in this one, you can have access to that. And additional to that, you have this teacher toolkit from the Global Scale of English, which can give you granular, give you specific worksheets in some cases that can help you work with your students in an online setting. You just assign the activities and they do it at home. So you can do it. Now, how can you get them, specifically a book? You can talk to Arturo. He's my go-to guy in this moment. And how can you buy them? He will be the person I can tell you about prices and all that crazy information, because he's the one that he can give you that. So as you can see, he wrote in the chat that you can contact him on Monday. But yeah, all the resources that we have, and again, I can speak for Pearson, all of them have an online component, which in our platform is Pearson English Portal, for all the resources that we've been talking about. And you have the option of videos, audios, which you can download, making it quite easy. Whenever the internet is not as stable, I have an expression for the internet, call it my frenemy, my friend and my enemy, because it happens. So you will have access to those resources, okay? That is something that I can speak now. The way that here Arturo's being very kind and sharing the chat, you can talk to him and you can contact him Monday. I guess that's his number and his email account for you to be working. And you've been sharing that you've been working with Top Notch. Okay, yeah, actually Top Notch, the best, if you were to ask me professionally, go to Connectivity. Connectivity is amazing. Connectivity has so many resources. It's very engaging. Xochitl did a great job explaining to you the information, like the resource and how it is interactive. You have the whole dynamic, and the scenarios for the students are very, very useful, because they're going to be working and going to be exploring up-to-date scenarios. So there is going to be more, they're going to be, how can I say that? They're going to be tropicalized, can be tropicalized to your country, and they can also make the students explore other cultural components. So you're going to be working with those things. And if you were to ask me something, yeah, from Top Notch, I will completely go to Connectivity. If you're fond of the series, it's the same author. She's amazing. And this program, Connectivity, she did it with the feedback of all of the Latin American teachers that use Top Notch. So that is a big plus for Connectivity, because she actually listened to all the teachers, every single one of them. Actually, she did a tour, and then she got all this information, and she got more feedback from the teachers. And once she got all this, she created Connectivity. I don't know if Xochitl wants to add something.
Thank you very much, everybody. I hope you have a great weekend. And I think Mr. Sokolovsky, right? It's going next. It's been.
I don't know if Ludmila has any more questions though, before we move on, or is Mr. Peter ready?
Let me check. I think we still got couple more minutes. Yeah, I have one tiny question about the same tool we were talking about, because I mean, I know that it works by itself, but can you connect it to the books as well?
Yeah, let me show you. I looked for the learning objectives for a specific range in the GSE. And then once I got the results for the learning objectives, you can see you have the 4 skills: speaking, listening, reading, writing. You're going to see that each one of these has the, opportunity, you have the opportunity to download them and also to find the course that matches that range or that level. The GSE Teacher Toolkit will allow you to view these courseware, and then will provide you with the range that's covering, if it's for primary or secondary, and perfect partners. So we mentioned that we have an entire ecosystem that will help out the educational community. From administrators to the learner and the teacher. So you're going to find maybe readers that can go along the series. I talked also about Rise and Shine, and also the assessment that can be paired up to check the level of the students, and then their progress along the program or the time frame they're working with. The period they're working with. So as you can see, we have different resources, all depending on what the institution needs. If they're more focused on reading strategies, reading skills, vocabulary, phonemic awareness, foundational skills, the institution will have an amount of, a list of series or solutions they can use in their institution, not only for primary courses, but also for adult learners, okay? So you can go ahead and check out the GSE Teacher Toolkit. You can check out the courseware that's linked to those ranges or levels, and also the assessment that can be used to make sure that they're in the right level, and also they have progressed from the very beginning they started the course to the very end of it. So we have courseware, the methodology to plan, the lesson planners, and also the assessments for placing, also verifying their level and certifying the level.
And to add to it, you also have booklets. Those booklets are going to give the teachers a planning, like this one, like Xochitl is showing to you. It's going to let the teachers know specifically the grammar components they're going to be covering and the vocabulary they're going to be covering per unit. Those units are all theme-based, and it's going to allow the teacher to know what are the can-do statements that the student needs to develop within reading, writing, all the productive and receptive skills. So they're going to be working, it's going to give you the ranges. It's not from one day to the other that you're going to move from an A1 to an A2, but it's going to be by little baby steps. So little by little, you're going to be able to reach those levels, and you're going to be able to work with those levels. And the idea is that it gives you a place, or it points out the like a page number or a section where the students can develop those skills. Within the RIT ranges or the ranges of the Global Scale of English, we always say that jumping from 1 to 2 points is more, it's a huge step, because it sometimes it represents like 10 points or 20 points if you want to put it into a level of 100 or a table of 100. So the students little by little will be leaving from one level to the other. Of course, everything is going to be depending on the attitude towards their learning process. And I see that Mr. Eliberto can agree with me. I see that he's a teacher. So it depends on the student. The teacher can do so much to help them out. But again, having a plan of action to work with the students and to foster those activities and those can-do statements, then you're going to be able to work a little bit better with them and have that solid background and that sense of confidence, and provide and project that sense of confidence, because the students at the end of the day will come to the teacher. And if you have that information of the can-do statements and where they're going to see them and how they're going to achieve them and from what level they're going to be taken to another level, or if they can see the progress, because sometimes we cannot see our progress. And that's frustrating, especially whenever we talk about non-traditional students, not having that, identifying that progress, because from one day to the other, we want to speak English fluently, but we can't. So, it's important to understand that, or to give them that sense of security that, it takes time. The idea is that you're able to listen and that you're able to communicate. You're never going to have a perfect English accent, because that doesn't exist anymore, but you're going to be able to work and be fluent in the language. So I don't know if that helps, if we answer your question.
Yeah, totally. I was wondering, so she placed like a slide with your contact information. And if you want to leave your contact information as well in our chats, it could be great. Thank you very much for this plenary. It was amazing. Thank you both for being part of this fair, and it was really nice meeting you both.
Our pleasure.
Thank you. So much fun too. Yeah, Xochitl has our I think in one of the last slide of our presentation, you can find our information as well. But now is the turn of, I must admit, I am a big dictionary fan. I love dictionaries. I have a collection of them. My first purchase was a dictionary with my own salary. I was so excited because the first thing that I bought was a dictionary. So anyway, thank you so much for your time. It has been a pleasure. On behalf of Pearson, we have enjoyed this. And Ludmila, you have a place to come visit in Guatemala. I am pretty sure you have one in Panama.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that invitation. Okay, les cuento. Okay, very good. Thank you, Belkis. Les cuento que Oserco actualmente tiene libros para el aprendizaje de idiomas con precios de regalo. Pueden ver su catálogo en su página web www.osercobooks.com. También pueden comunicarse con ellos al 0424-324-7833 o por correo electrónico osercocaracas@gmail.com. Estas direcciones de correo electrónico y teléfono estarán visibles en el chat más adelante para que puedan tomar nota. Creo que el señor Arturo ya los colocó. Recuerden que tenemos un concurso para ustedes. Solo deben seguirnos en la cuenta de Instagram, @osercobooks,